And I'll be hosting you this evening. And this evening, we are discussing matters of teachers. The future of teaching in Uganda, discussing the policy and legal principles behind the motivation of teachers. Tonight, I'm joined by Mutesasira Expedito, who is the Guild President of the Law Development Center at Mbarara campus. I'll also be joined by Mustafa Kamwedui, who is a lawyer from the Law Development Center. We are supposed to be having as well Victor Odori, as well a lawyer, but unfortunately he can't join us. But the three of us will be taking you through this important topic, which is very contentious in the recent times. This being the third term, it means the students, the learners, the pupils, they're about to cross from one class to another. Yet their future remains uncertain after the teachers laid down their tools at the start of this semester, especially the arts teachers, arguing that there is salary discrepancy from what they earn compared to their counterparts who teach sciences. And therefore, we shall be interrogating whether this is backed by law. Is it legal? Are they just being unpatriotic? Or should they go back to class and teach in whatever circumstances? Mr. Expedito.
Yes, brother.
We start from here. Is there equality in the aspect of paying the teachers, considering science teachers and arts teachers, the amount they earn? Is there a reason to worry?
Those are two questions in one. Allow me first to greet our viewers. Good evening to all of you viewers out there. We really appreciate that you take your time off the schedule and watch this. We believe that this and so many other programs we shall do really add up something to our country. Now, is there equality? That is equivalent to asking me, am I a man? Of course, no. What is the future of our country, given that we are having this, kind of crisis in our education system? Before, as you were making your introduction, I got reminded of a saying we normally had. I come from a very humble background, not humble, humility, but humble, the English meaning. And our mother normally used to tell us that this time is not for passing. Time is kuita. So even if you're sent home, you can sit for a few weeks, for as long as it is not for passing. But we are at a time when we expect our young ones, our students, to move from one class to another. So I think it is a very, very big setback to a country, because, the education system in any given country, it is the engine, it is the future. What it produces for the future. And for you to tell whether the country or a society will be great in the future, you look at the education system. What kind of products does it produce? What does it put out? So truth is, as we are struggling to, we've been struggling with the curriculum, saying it is not enough, it is too backward. We are still studying things that some of which are not really, up to the AI generation we are in. And now we are in that deep, I don't know how should I say it, in that mess. Still we get this very bad news of our teachers
is there a
putting
crisis?
down the tools. The crisis is there, you cannot roll it out, because what happens when I'm an art student. We are, all lawyers, most of the lawyers are products of arts. And what do you think is going to happen 2 years, 3 years from now, when our students, some of them are not studying, and then their counterparts the so-called science students are in school studying. Things are okay with them. But the policymakers, the leadership of this country, you know, the ministers and all those persons responsible, majority of them are arts products. I think it is a miscalculation. Personally, I hold the view that we need all of them. We need the arts students or arts professionals, the same way we need the science professionals. We are in this room. That camera is not only made by the scientists. The specs you're wearing are not only made by the science. The science come in to produce the specs. Then the design of it is made by the arts students or arts professionals. So I think as a country we are in a very, very sorry state as far as the academics of our young people are concerned. And there is something urgent really that needs to be done. I was watching news and the minister, I think the Honorable, is it Mururi Mukasa, was just threatening. But these are human beings that you can deal with. You know, when you're a leader, your only primary role is to provide solutions to problems. So is threatening part of the solution that is really enough or important at this, relevant at this point in time to bring the teachers on board? I think we should have leaders that can really handle situations accordingly.
Mustafa, let me come to you, and you're welcome to the checkpoint for the second time. The question I want you to address is whether the policy of paying arts teachers different amounts from their science counterparts, does it satisfy the constitutional and ethical tenets of equal pay for equal work?
Thank you so much, Vian, and my fellow panelists, Espirito, and giving it to our dear viewers. The question of equal pay for equal work, the policy. First and foremost, we should know where did this all began, and we should know where all this began. And, we know for a fact that we go to school to have the same qualifications. For example, teachers study for 3 years or 4 years for you to be a teacher. I'm not meaning either you're an arts teacher or a science teacher, but all of them go to school for equal years, like 3 years. So then I would start from when the president promised to enhance the salaries of teachers. After a few years back, I think there was a strike, a national strike of teachers through the UNATO board. Yeah, that brought up an agreement between the state, the head of state, the president, and the UNATO plus other teachers at large. So the teachers went back to school. Now, after teachers going back to school, when the time for enhancing came in, the science teachers were enhanced. Their salaries were enhanced vis-a-vis the arts teachers, and that brought a point now where we are. That's the point where we are, the disparity between the salaries. Yeah. For me, I would say partly it was a wrong move. Why? Because if you're enhancing salaries, for example, at least I expected the government to also enhance maybe to an amount of 2.5 for the arts and 4 or 5 million for the scientists. Because a net pay of a science teacher is 3.7 after all deductions of payee, those taxes. So for me, I feel if it would be 5 to 2.5 would be fair, and promise the arts that with time, as the economy stabilizes, we would then enhance yours to the same equal pay. So for me, it demotivates the teachers.
So you agree that priority should be given to science teachers, but there shouldn't be so much difference?
No.
As we increase the arts teachers to
Yes.
2.5,
Yes.
we can maintain. Would you recommend that as the way to end this strike?
As such, I wouldn't, and I don't believe in that syndrome of science teachers first, because all these people, we need one another. For example, in this room, we are not scientists. There are guys of science who make up these machines. We, the arts, are speaking, and at the end of the day, we are doing relatively the same work.
Even our viewers, not all of them are scientists.
Yes. So at this time, I feel it was a wrong move. They would have at least enhanced the salaries to a minimum level where all teachers are motivated. So for the issue of the policy constitutionalism, I believe that was something not constitutionally right, because the labor law provide for equal pay for equal work, and I believe they are doing the right thing. They are fighting for their rights through a collective bargain, through UNATO, and they're striking. But then that brings an issue to the students.
Before we come to the students and how they're going to be, let's speak about the budgetary, priorities. If we cannot handle the increase of all the teachers at the same time, should that raise dust? Are teachers being unpatriotic, like we've heard from various officials, by failing to appreciate that sometimes there are budgetary constraints? And I want you to discuss that, Mr. Mutesasira, by focusing on the right to organize, the right to, do an industrial action the way they are doing, but also considering the budgetary constraints, that Uganda is a developing country with a limited resource envelope. So, are teachers being unpatriotic by failing to realize that?
I'm not among those that think that teachers really do their work just for money. From way back when we were young children, we've been told that teaching is a calling, lawyering is a calling. There are some professions which really need to be called for you to do them. But in the same vein, I don't believe that they should work while their kids are really suffering, while their kids are starving. I don't believe they're being unpatriotic, because by the mere fact that they chose education, that enough is patriotic enough to really give them what they deserve. In Uganda, I've been trying to find out about the salaries of the arts vis-a-vis the science teachers. You see, it all starts with leadership. I don't know why my mind tells me it is the leadership. I'm not certain of the qualifications of the ministers that we have for education. But really, how do you come up with a policy that gives someone 4 times more than what you give to the other person? You see, all teachers do the same work. The only difference is in what they give out to the students. It is similar to drivers. Should government drivers be given, different pays just because someone is driving manual and then the other person is driving automatic? I believe teachers have done their work. They're really helping the nation because they are creating the future generation. And in their pay, what they are doing, they're exercising their right. You see, in most of the times, the civil organizations come up to help the industrial organizations, civil organizations come up to help the members for the general good. So what they are doing is good. And I believe as a country, as a leadership today, if they made a blunder to increase the salaries of the arts, the science students, leaving out the arts teachers, then the country should come back on board to plan where did we go wrong. How do you see, even the head teachers themselves were complaining last time. A science head teacher is getting little pay just because they are head teachers or deputy teachers. So they wanted to be demoted because a head teacher gets about 2 point something. And then a science
The president
teacher
has repeatedly given us his example.
no.
That he earns 3.6 million only. But you cannot question his authority.
You cannot question his authority.
And yet he
depending on
earns
where you
very
stand.
little amount.
Depending on where you stand. The president uses 1.8 billions a day. How much does he get a month?
3.6.
Uses 1.8 or even above. The last time I checked, it was 1.8 billion a day. How many millions are those? 1,080. Am I right? 1,800, yeah, right? A day in the State House. So let's not go into that. We stick to education. It is totally unfair, because why would we have a teachers even paid lower than their bosses? I mean, their supervisors. The teachers are supposed to supervise these teachers, but then they are getting, it is around 2 million something. Then their supervisors are getting 4 million. Don't you think that is really a very big crisis that you're creating? Don't you think you're going to get more head teachers quit their positions as the teachers and then remain with the teaching, because it is more profitable in the teaching sector? I believe you cannot give us the budgetary constraints as a reason to give these teachers low pay, the arts teachers, because how much are our MPs earning? How much are the executive directors earning? Where do they go, where do they go through, or where do they pass to become whatever they are? They pass through teachers.
Thank you very much, Mtesasera. We are streaming live on YouTube, and we're also live on TikTok and other social media handles such as X, Facebook. Just go and search U24 Television, especially on YouTube, and send us your comment, and we shall be reading it in the course of this conversation. And be part of this conversation. Let us hear your voice, whether you agree with what has been submitted and what is your opinion on the current impasse between the teachers and the government. Mr. Mustafa.
Yes.
The strikes for teachers are not new. Like you gave us a background, this has been consistent for some time. There's even a time where by then we had a Prime Minister, John Patrick Amama Mbabazi, and he said, we're going to replace you as teachers. And I want us to look at the issue of professionalism. And I want you to relate it to the law and especially the constitutional right to work. And of course, be fairly compensated for the amount of work that you do. What is at stake? And how can we solve this impasse once and for all?
Thank you, Vianney. Let me go back to where he started from. The previous question of patriotism. Let me start from there and then I build on my point. Patriotism, by the mere fact they chose education, that's being patriotic
And
of
they
all
choose to
courses.
work for government.
And they choose to work for government for that small because before you go for teaching, you know how much a teacher earns. So that's being already patriotic. But the pathetic conditions they go through, the living standards, if you've been to government schools, for example.
In fact, the argument has been that there are other people who are not on government payroll, and they are badly looking for those jobs. And for you, who already has that job, you are striking.
What motivates? The motivation. The ones who are not yet employed are driven by the fact of being unemployed and they don't have what to do. So when they get the job, they will also feel the same because you're taxed. An arts teacher earns around roughly 600 to 700, if I'm not mistaken.
It's around 1 M.
Let's say 1 million plus taxes.
Without, no. Plus taxes, I think is kind of lower.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Then your counterpart is earning. So they have been patriotic because by the fact they have been there for some years now, they are being patriotic to the country. Only that what drives them is the way there is waste resource in the country. For example, you find people are stealing 1.something billion in his home. Okay? Stealing it from other works that were supposed to help us. So what drives them is, I think, being patriotic, even striking for an equal pay to that of their colleagues is also being patriotic, because they're fighting for what rightfully belongs to them. Now you bring the question of professionalism and the ethicals. You see, a contract is entered between you, the teacher, and the government, okay, for a particular period. Because
where you agree to work for a certain amount.
Yes, for a certain
then
amount.
After a few days, a few months,
yes,
you're saying, I will not go to work unless you give me more.
Yes, at that
so
point,
you breach the contract.
There is no breach of contract. You see, these things are constitutionally provided for. Yeah? That when you're aggrieved, the first thing you have to do is to inform your employer about what you need or what are the conditions like. So when, by the fact that there was a notice of them through the former or the previous industrial action that they had, that was a prior notice to them on the equal salary pay. So the government took an initiative. And for me, I think it's the problem of the advisory persons who advise the minister. How on earth would you increase? Okay, you want us to sit in the same staff room while you are earning a different amount, I'm earning a different amount. Yet we are teaching for same hours, same school. We are working for the same years. Okay? We have been in school to be qualified for a teacher. You have to undergo, I think, 4 years, 3 years.
Have you considered the aspect that the policy of this country has been that we need more of scientists than arts? Because the problems of this century are more of science than arts. And therefore, we need to motivate more of the sciences, because they are the people we need more.
Actually.
Oh, yes. That being said, we have, what are the problems we have in Uganda? Corruption. Does corruption need a scientist? What are more pressing issues? Corruption. Insecurity. Does insecurity need a scientist? Unemployment. Does unemployment needs a scientist? No. I believe the people passing these laws are, by the arts people, neglecting their own arts people.
Actually, that is not, it's not anywhere in our legal framework. It is actually
which law provides that we need more scientists than the arts?
The argument has been that there is the global trends, because, for example, we are using these gadgets, phones, TVs, and what have you. You know, we need more of scientists who can innovate, who can discover, who can do all that. But because we cannot do that, we end up exporting more than we, importing more, yeah, than we export. And that means we pay the foreigners more than the money would retain in our country. And that affects our development. But I guess your point, as valid as it is, the priorities. If we could go back to the priorities, what would you suggest to remove the impasse permanently, now that we have this impasse existing? And indeed, you are right on the problems that we have as a country, as you listed them. How about resolving this permanently? Also considering that we have a budget constraint as a developing nation.
Thank you. The solution to this impulse that has been eating up. One, budget allocation. If you look at the budget allocation, where does education fall? Yeah? It's always security on top. So let's prioritize the allocation of the budget. For example, let's cut, for example, there are so many useless things that we spend money on. Why can't we remove and channel it to the education? You're talking about importing more and exporting less. Many Ugandans are abroad scientists that we call. The bright brains are outside. The best doctors are outside, either in Aga Khan, either in South Africa, either in UK, name it. A Ugandan must be there. The reason is because at home, we have failed to prioritize.
And yet when we fall sick here,
We
if
rush
you have
to
some
UK.
money, you run there to meet
And
the
the same
doctor.
people are treating you are Ugandans. I've heard of one of the big people in this government say, the person who treated me is a Ugandan. You can imagine. So people have decided to look for where there is equal pay for equal hours with good budget allocation abroad, vis-a-vis where we are only looking at what should we do next. So for me, the solution should be, let's prioritize education in the coming budget. Yeah, let's try to cut unnecessary expenditures. For example, these MPs are paid a lot of money to do what? To pass laws. Yeah, in Parliament there are so many nasty things going on. Business, exchange of money here and there. So the problem is we are not prioritizing right. We should cut other budgets and prioritize, because education is key in an economy. You cannot talk about an economy thriving without educated people. If you talk about scientists, who are these innovators at the end of the day? Who innovates these new machines, these people who create new things? They must be educated, and they must have a good foundation basis of education. So if you want good scientists, then invest in education so that you create good brains. Invest in schools. Invest in education. Give the teachers good pay so that they can be motivated to teach and be there for the children.
On that, Mr. Mutesasira, investing in education, let us look at the impact of this strike, especially on the final consumer, who is a child. And the investment he's talking about, is it only urgent to invest in the salary of teachers, or it would be even more prudent to first invest in other problems affecting the education sector, such as the lunch for students, for learners? What is your view on that?
I wanted to give my view on what you said about the era of sciences and the trend. I personally don't believe that it is the scientists, as you name it, that we need to really move on with the AI, with the, you know, the technology that is being invented today. I was checking here on my phone. I think Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, is not a scientist, but he's making billions of money. The founder of iPhone, the Apple products, Steve Jobs, he wasn't a scientist. These are entrepreneurs, designers, you know. So many people you can really search. The Elon Musks are not scientists, they're entrepreneurs. And I think they are the inventors that we need. You know, when you look at the global trend today, we need each and every person. Each and every person is important. So back to what you've just asked. Remind me of the question, please.
The question is investments in the education sector. Should we prioritize salaries for teachers, or there are other issues, in fact, in the education sector that need more urgent attention? Only the difference could be that for them they don't strike. For example, issues like lunch for learners.
Personally, I have taken the trouble to read some little history of this country where we've come, and some of the policymakers we are having today are people who went to school free of charge, right through secondary, university, and they were even paid some money. So I cannot sit here and say that the problem is this or that. I think the problem is leadership. Leadership, I don't know. I think education is one of the ministries that have so many ministers. We have about 3, 4. And you see, they're not working. They're not doing what they should do. Because why should we even go an extra mile to think of lunch? If the government can, yes, we understand we don't have that too much, you know, money to pay for each and every need that we have. But if a government